through you to the members, I rise today in support of the underlying bill, and I look forward to working with the members of this Senate to try and address some issues raised by the bill, to work to improve the bill, and to continue to build on the progress that we have made here in Massachusetts. It's worth noting, as the minority leader did, that energy costs are not a new issue here in Massachusetts. They were an issue before any of the nation-leading clean energy and energy efficiency legislation that we put into place, and they are still an issue now. I would argue and I would submit that legislation is the beginning of a solution to the energy cost issue. But that does not mean that there is not more that we can do and should do. As the minority leader said, we come here today, I hope, to try and strike a balance. A balance first in our energy policy among a variety of different worthy goals, first around cost, around reliability of the delivery of that energy, and around the environment, around making sure that the energy sources that we derive our electricity from have as little impact on the environment as possible, and that we are using as little as possible so as to pass on a better and brighter Commonwealth to future generations. That right balance, if we achieve it, not only will help keep more jobs here in Massachusetts in the short term, but it will create more jobs in the long term so that we can export to other parts of the country the solutions to the energy challenges that every region faces. The minority leader is right when he points out that other regions have a lower cost of energy than we do in Massachusetts. Unlike those other regions, we do not have mines, we do not have any number of different traditional fossil fuel resources, and we are at the end of a pipeline. But because of that, we have the requirement to try and develop our own solutions, new solutions to the challenges that we face. Again, if we can get that right, we will be the source of not only energy in the future, but we can be the source of solutions for other regions. So clearly we have mutual goals as we move forward, trying to strike that balance between our short-term concerns around cost, knowing full well that there are long-term solutions that will make us more energy independent and make us less of an impact on the environment that all of us want to protect and preserve for future generations to come. So how do we go about trying to do it in the bill that is before us right now? First, in the short term, we will require the utilities of the Commonwealth to come before the Department of Public Utilities and have rate cases on a regular schedule. In the bill before us, it is currently 3 years. The idea behind that is making sure that businesses and residents can predict with some certainty when their rates may change moving forward. The goal would be to avoid the spiking and rate shock that can happen when settlements pile up over time, or when rate cases where their books are scrubbed and their rates are justified are not entered into too often. We also allow the Department of Public Utilities to have an extended time for reviewing the rates as presented by the utility companies. Currently under law, the Department of Public Utilities only has 6 months. Under this bill, that time period is extended to 10 months. In the bill currently as written, we put in place a cap on how much rates can increase in 1 year, and we seek to spread out additional increases if they are justified. There are many amendments around this issue, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to try and address that in a way such that businesses and residences can plan several years out to know what their rates will be, but also that utilities are able to capture justifiable rates that they seek from the DPU. We also expand membership on some of our governing boards around our energy programs, in particular the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council. We have a great story to tell here in Massachusetts about energy efficiency. We are first in the nation when it comes to the programs that we have in place here in Massachusetts. And we also know that energy efficiency is the best way possible to address further rate increases. The cheapest form of energy is the dollar that you never have to spend on something because you've saved and used the existing resource smarter. We seek to make sure that in the next 3-year plan of the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council and moving forward into further years that we have a municipal representative on the EEAC, that we have a representative of some of the smaller energy efficiency companies, that we have a representative from the municipal or from the nonprofit network, and then a representative from real estate, as we know full well much of our energy and much of our greenhouse gas emissions come from buildings, and it's important to make sure their perspective is heard so that we can continue to keep our leadership moving forward. And while we seek to take these steps in the short term, we know full well that there are long-term steps that we need to take, not to necessarily change our goals here in Massachusetts, but to make sure that we are achieving our goals in the most cost-effective and efficient way possible. We do that first by increasing our long-term contracting requirement here in the Commonwealth, but saying that the contracts that are procured by the utility companies under that requirement are done through a competitive bidding process. We believe that this is a way to bring on renewable energy and do it in the most cost-effective and efficient way possible. We also increase our net metering cap here in the Commonwealth, a program that I know many of my colleagues have heard from their towns and from any number of residences about, seeing the benefit of that, of locally generated, more reliable forms of energy. And we will have any number of amendments about that we will consider to determine what the right policy is there moving forward as well. We allow, and we do not subsidize, we allow hydroelectric power to be included under our Section 116 goals from the Green Communities Act. To be very clear, this does not provide a subsidy or an incentive to hydroelectric power beyond what we already do in the renewable portfolio standard. We think it's important to recognize the role that hydropower will play in trying to transition to a more clean energy future, but it's also important to make sure that where ratepayers' subsidies are going out of the RPS is to industries that need those to be able to bring online more cost-effective and efficient technologies that are emerging now, not those that have been with us for many, many years. We also move forward and we endorse the efforts of the Patrick administration when it comes to their development of a clean energy performance standard. This standard is the result of the good work done by my colleague, the senator from Taunton, under the Global Warming Solutions Act, and we believe that the administration should move forward with it, and we look forward to the results of that as a way to not just measure what type of energy we are using and then what we ought to be incentivizing, but rather what type of energy do we want to be using when it comes to its impact on greenhouse gas emissions and its impact on the environment more broadly. Finally, we also include in the bill a cost-benefit analysis of the Green Communities Act to be undertaken every 3 years. Yes, it's important to be focused on the cost of energy, but it is also important to be focused on the benefits of the programs and the policies that this body, this legislature, and this Commonwealth has put in place. It would be penny wise and pound foolish to scrap those programs that have made any number of different strides possible, both around energy efficiency and clean energy. But we ought to make sure that we are entering into regular reviews to make sure we know what we ought to be doing as a Commonwealth to continue to meet those goals in the best way possible, especially while the energy debate in Washington seems to be, for lack of a better reference, stuck in the mud. Finally, if we do not meet the goals, many of the goals that we have before us, we also call for the central procurement of renewable energy on a least cost basis. Again, I know there are several amendments around this, and I look forward to discussing what the right policy is to be endorsed by this Senate moving forward. Madam President, I don't think that the bill that is before us will solve all of our energy problems by any means, in any way, shape, or form. However, I do believe that it builds on